But you've never personally reviewed any of the purchase and sales files for the RV Park project yourself?
Object to form.
I have not.
You wouldn't have personal knowledge of what those records state or don't state?
Object to form.
I do not.
Have you ever personally reviewed any of the certificates of occupancy for the RV Park project?
Not the actual certificate of occupancies, no, I have not.
You wouldn't have personal knowledge as to what any of the certificates of occupancy for the RV Park project state or don't state?
Object to form.
I would not.
Have you reviewed any of the deeds that were conveyed by the Ryland Group Inc., which is now known as the Cal Atlantic Group Inc., in order to convey the townhomes at RV Park to the initial purchasers? Have you reviewed any of those deeds?
I have not reviewed those.
So you wouldn't be personally aware of the date that a particular certificate of occupancy was issued for a particular address of the project?
I would have to look at those documents to know exactly now. Not off the top of my head. No.
Okay. And you've never looked at the certificates of occupancy for RV Park, so you would never have had that information?
Object to form.
Not the actual certificate of occupancy, I have not.
And would the same be true to know the date of conveyance of the unit to the initial purchaser? You'd have to review the deed from the Ryland Group to that initial purchaser in order to have that information?
Correct.
To form.
And you've never looked at those deeds?
Object to form.
I have not.
Do you have any personal knowledge of whether or not the purchase and sales files for the RV Park project were maintained in accordance with Cal Atlantic's records retention policy?
I don't have any personal knowledge, but our corporate representative on records could testify to that.
So in your affidavit where you state that the records were kept in the ordinary course of regularly conducted business activity in compliance with Cal Atlantic's records retention policy, you don't have personal knowledge of that statement in your affidavit?
Specifically, no. The corporate representative would have to specifically testify to that.
When you say the corporate representative, you mean someone other than you?
Yes. Yeah. The corporate representative we designate for record retention.
But I just want to clarify that when you signed this affidavit in paragraph 11, where it states that on or about April 6, 2021, Cal Atlantic provided documents reflecting payment to the design professionals and or independent subcontractors associated with the construction of the 27 units identified in Exhibit 1, as well as those design professionals or independent subcontractors associated with the entire project. That statement's not entirely accurate, is it? Because one, you don't know whether and when any of that information was provided, and two, Cal Atlantic still hasn't provided information regarding who installed the streetlights and the perimeter wall on the project, right?
Object to form.
Yeah, to my knowledge, everything's been provided that we've had record of. The architects, the engineers, you know, through our corporate representative, we are still searching for those records.
So at best, what you've provided is incomplete, right? Because we know there's a perimeter wall and we know there's streetlights, and you still can't tell me who installed them.
Object to form.
That is correct, but we still are searching for those records. We haven't given up yet.
The first time that you saw this JDE payment spreadsheet that we've marked as Exhibit 39?
On July 23rd, 2021.
So the first time that you ever saw this JDE payment spreadsheet reflecting the payments made to the vendors in our RV Park project, to the extent that the company is able to find those records, was on July 23rd, 2021.
That's correct.
So at the time you signed an affidavit in this case on July 19th, 2021, you'd never seen this JDE payments data.
Object to form.
No, the only thing I know is we use JDE and Envision now. So I know that there's data out there. But the actual see this physical spreadsheet, not until that date.
So just so it's clear, when you signed an affidavit in this case on July 19, 2021, you would never look at the underlying data for the Arborview Park project reflecting the payments that were made for that project prior to signing that affidavit on July 19th, because the first time you saw the document was on July 23rd.
Object to form.
That's this specific data I did not see till July 23rd, correct.
It's fair to say that you don't have any personal knowledge of the dates that payments were made to any of the engineers working on the project without reviewing the specific data contained in the JDE payments report, correct?
Correct, yes, I'd have to review the report.
I'm wondering, we've gone over your affidavit, I think, quite a bit here. At the beginning, it says, I'm looking at paragraph 3, I make this affidavit based on my personal knowledge of the facts and circumstances described herein and a review of the business records of Cal Atlantic and know the facts stated to be true. That statement isn't accurate, right? Because you didn't have personal knowledge of the facts in this affidavit and you didn't review those business records that you needed to review in order to provide these statements. So isn't this statement in number 3 not true?
Object to form, and that's not what it says. Reread it.
Once again, is the statement that you gave in paragraph 3 of your affidavit inaccurate?
No, it's to my personal knowledge, it's correct, what I reviewed. To my personal knowledge, what I reviewed and I know about.
Okay, but you didn't have personal knowledge of the information in the chart in Exhibit 1 at the time you signed this affidavit because you hadn't reviewed the records you needed to get that personal knowledge, right?
Right, I know I base it on other personal knowledge, correct.
Well, other personal knowledge meaning something that somebody else told you, but not reviewing records yourself or your own things that you just instinctively knew before you signed the affidavit, right?
Object to form.
It was based on other information that I had reviewed.
So what other information?
It was based on the information I said in the Alta Engineering report about the permit dates and the CO dates, as I said before. And again, my personal knowledge of when architects and engineers, are paid in general.
But your personal knowledge of when architects and engineers might be paid in general based on industry practices doesn't relate to what actually was done at Arborview, correct?
Correct.
And so you didn't have personal knowledge of the payment practices for the Arborview Park project when you signed this affidavit.
Object to form.
Okay, correct.
So given that, and given that the Alta Engineering summary document doesn't have all of the information contained in your affidavit, wouldn't it be true to say that the statement in paragraph 3 of your affidavit is inaccurate?
Object to form.
That is correct, but the information is correct.
Okay, so the information might be true, but when you signed this affidavit and you swore under oath that the affidavit was based on your personal knowledge, that wasn't true.
Object to form.
Yeah, now that I think about it, okay.
That's accurate?
Object to form.
You can answer the question, sir.
Okay, yeah, now that I think about it, okay, correct. You're correct.
You didn't look at the spreadsheet before you signed the affidavit. Shouldn't you have done that before swearing under oath that something was true? Actually check the information before blindly signing something?
Object to form.
I'd refer to counsel on that.
You'd have to refer to your counsel whether you should have checked something before swearing under oath that something was true.
Object to form.
No, I based it on looking at other information.
Okay, but show me what other information you looked at that has the same information that says the engineer was paid on a certain date. Can you show me any other document that does that?
No, I just based it on the spreadsheet in the Alta report, and based on my knowledge of how things work when we pay architects and engineers.
Okay, so when you sign this affidavit.
Object to form, and you cut him off before he can complete his answer.
When you signed this affidavit, you did not have personal knowledge of the information in the affidavit. True or false?
Object to form.
True.